Hello, this is Ever Pierce on January the 23rd, 2017. I'm going to point something out to you in terms of the turnout to the inauguration for Mr. Trump. Now, you've seen the pictures here. See, there are a lot of things that people overlook in terms of collective knowledge. Now, 2009, that's basically Obama, President Obama. And then over here, 2017, is Donald Trump. Now, in terms of symbolism, now with these people here, I mean, you got banks. Each one is a bank. And over here, you got a bank. Now, what's significant about these bank of people, you got to figure, is without knowing an exact number, you don't need to know an exact number, especially if you're going to try to pull out, which is a divine or divinity, or numbers associated with E equals MC squared. Okay, so you got a bank, a bank, a bank. And why this is a 2, 2, 1. Okay, so you see these two banks. I mean, as far as the actual total of people there. But they're both pretty much filled up. They're both, or not filled up, but they got a fair amount of people there. But when we get here, on this third one, there's a few stragglers here, but there's abundance here. 1, 2, and 2. Now, if you add 2, 2, 1 to E equals MC squared, means if you advance E 2 letters, so E, F, G, M, you advance it 2 letters, so N, O, and then you advance C 1 letter, and that's G, O, D. So 221, like Spock, from Star Trek, he would do this, 221. You can't control people. We all know that, especially with the will of man. But the fact that they are lined up in a very particular order has divinity. Now, in terms of divinity, is what you see and what you don't see. Now, if you see me, you know that a minimum, I come on 1,000-to-1 ratio. But just in reference to people here, and that, of course, that's the inauguration and is up there where Trump is giving his speech. So, size, as I say, not to be derogatory, and you say size matters, or size doesn't matter, you could be 7 foot, 400 pounds. But if your body is if the functionality of your body is lowered, meaning you don't have a body of like one of my presidential apprentice, Bruce Lee, you have certain limitations. So what's wrong with this picture here is you're not factoring in me and say, okay, well, that's not fair. You come 1,000-to-1. Okay, fair enough. Let's look at the people that can't afford to be here. And you start looking at the states. Democratic. Okay, if you go on to Democratic states and you got California and you got these ideal places that people would see as ideal living conditions. And you have a lot of Democrats overwhelming, certain areas, even down in Texas. So basically, in terms of capitalism, they try to throw out these, particular words, fascism and authoritative, and it's because, especially when they throw it very strongly, it just automatically snitches them out that they are doing something they don't want you to know, and they're using, it's just like the same, someone say, oh, you're racist, as a means of you to back off, So you have to take, the premises of Mr. Trump is all the forgotten men and women out there that are not being heard. The little guy. Okay, so how many of the people that couldn't afford to be there? If the Democrats have been working for decades after decades, is like within businesses and always making sure that a Democrat gets a good position, paying position, and then the Republican, and of course they're not going to admit to this, of course, but that is a reality. Is like, I wrote the book, so how could I not know about this? Okay, so we'll set that aside. We'll just say the Democrats are actually behaving themselves this time. Okay, but in terms of economics, if you got someone that can't even take the day off or take an hour off, how can they be at the inaugural? And with Bill O'Reilly helping the Talladega team or the college and the band to perform for Mr. Trump, it costs quite a bit of money to travel, especially if you're on the west side of the United States, whether you're flying there or, there's expenses, hotels. I don't know what the hotels is in D.C., but I'm guessing, because how businesses are maximizing their profits, I would bet that the hotel prices increased, knowing this event is going to happen. They say, well, we raise it up for supply and demand. No, you raise it up because you want freaking money. So don't lie to me. But, okay, so it costs money. So a lot of the people that are not here are like what Donald Trump is saying. The unheard, the women and men who go unheard. They're not here. They want to be here. But they can't take an hour or a day off from work for fear that they're going to be put out on the street. I'm 100 there. I'm only one step away from being homeless myself and eating my dinner out of a trash can. I mean, from my finances, I wanted to be here. I mean, I wanted it so badly. In fact, I wanted to be right next to Trump when he's putting his hands on his Bible. See, his mom is named Mary. That's my mother's name, Mary. So I wanted to be up there. But according to my finances, I couldn't be there. And if I showed up there, talking about a spiritual awakening that could happen. It's like what you see right here. Of course it's from the light there, but we've seen in Phoenix, with I call my red little friends. And I say that primarily because I don't want to scare people, because some people get spooked about the unknown. So that's the reason why I call them my little red friends. But there's a lot of the attendance that is here. So now you have to go to how many people are watching this event. And you say, well, tell me ratings. Well, not everyone. I mean, you have people that are watching this, and they may not necessarily like Mr. Trump. It's like me. It's like, you may not necessarily have to like me, but knowing when the dust settles, I'm about self-preservation. I'm about life, forever life. So, and you take into account that you have certain human behaviors out there. People have to grow to, in a sense of understanding you. And I'm probably the most misunderstood man on this planet because of the gap of evolution. It's like I'm going back to the caveman, and I'm trying to explain to the caveman what a smartphone is, and he's going, So I'm not being derogatory of the people here, but for the sake of teaching a parable, a specific, teaching element of evolution, when you have such of a gap, okay, and so what we're seeing with the people sequencing, well, you got a bank of people here, but in terms of the sectors right here, it's going all the way back to George Washington Monument, which so happened to be one of my previous lives, Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, Jesus. But, I'm not in fact, I don't have to, and I don't want to prove of my previous lives. The things that I teach, how I teach it, why I teach it, that will be the conviction. That is the things that you will have to see. Is because with people out there, it's like, I'd rather have people step forward, meaning the leap of faith, taking it upon yourself to recognize and not be a thief and take away your credibility. So if I come up and I strong arm you and I say, see, okay, now you have to abide by the rules. And you say, well, now all I know about you now is now I know that you'll take a leap of faith in the event you're put in a position of self-preservation. But will you do a leap of faith using collective information like what we're doing here in this inauguration? You know, it has the 2-2-1 factor, but a lot of people see this bank here it's almost like one continuous bank. So these right here are broken up in sectors. Well, for obvious reasons, because if you have that many people, you got to have like a road system. You got to have people that are able to come in and come out. So this, when you look at that, it's like one continuous bank. But they have a road, what looks like right here. They have like a road. Okay, meaning they have outlets. They have an entrance and they have an exit. So if I was looking at this, and of course, I like divinity. I'm an apprentice of God. Now that's something that I couldn't teach in exactness to people 2017 years ago. But people understood son, daughter. And then how people perceive it, they took it, more personal. As if you're a son of God, that means you think you're more valuable than I am. And it's like the human behavior. I mean, it's like a very complex sense of it. And then when you throw in the extinction factor of energy, and it's like, holy cow. It's like, it seems like you're doing a Rubik's Cube that's self-correcting itself each and every time you try to move and to solve it. So, from a presidential, and I'm trying to figure out which area I'm supposed to be. And I see that 2-2-1 factor because I'm able to recognize symbolism. It's like I'm on advanced level 3 of evolution. I'm going to recognize certain numbers, like a neon sign. So I would be at this inauguration not knowing who's up here being sworn in. Okay? Is you can't control people. Yeah, I suppose if you had a lot of money, you could pay all these people to set up, because a person, a leader has to take into account is what's within the power of man of contriving or, simulating, like an actress or an actor is they're putting on the act or what can be simulated. And then it's like, the sun. You can't control the sun out there. You can't control its, the rotation of it and everything else. But there's also, so that's why you have to separate in categories is what is plausible, what man can do, and what is not even plausible, or at least for that evolution. So I just wanted to point this out in terms of, the crowd coming there, and so there are many people that having been considered of this. So so now you got the ratings of people watching Trump. Well, not everyone watching television, is in support of Mr. Trump, but they're still watching it. Some people they're nosy bodies. They just want to know what's going on. Okay, and then the statistics of how about those are having 2-3 jobs, they got a family, and they're trying to keep food on the table. And in fact, they may not even have a television. Not every household has a television. And not to mention, where they're able to pay for a like Cox Cable or DirecTV. I got DirecTV, and so when you're economically oppressed, brought down, what about those that had to work? They want to be on the Trump train. They were on the Trump train, but they don't dare leave their work and say, "Oh, I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to Trumpville," and then to find out your company is going to basically punish you. They're not going to admit it, but now all of a sudden you start getting these pink slips and how you're incompetent or, So there's been a lot of repercussions of people jumping on the Trump train. And I will say to anyone out there, if you are on the Trump train, I will literally go to hell and back for you. Because what you have done is a leap of faith. And that warms my heart. And it just, anytime I can encourage the leap of faith and things that it feels, you just know that it's good. it looks like it's good. It feels good. And, because what's happened in the last 24 years is we had 16 years of Democrats and 8 years of Republicans. We've had the stock market fall, we've had the housing fall, and we got two major buildings in New York City that they're no longer there. Terrorism. So now you have a lot of people out there, in terms of their intelligence, it's not to put them down, but if they don't understand something, they're just going to use simple math. You're going to say, wait a minute, Trump is really not he's under the Republican, but he's really not a Republican. He's more of the third element, meaning he's a combine of them all. And they're going to say, wait a minute, okay, 16 years of Democrat, 8 years of Republicans, okay, I'm going to go for the, it's like someone of a lesser intelligence, they're going to say 16 years and 8 years. So I would say 16 years. I mean, the Democrats in the last 24 years have been heavily part of what this country or this nation is. So I'm going to take my chances and I'm going to vote for a Republican. In fact, you have some people out there that didn't want to vote for either one. So now that what they're doing is they're voting who they are in the person that would bring salvation to the United States. So this thing about Russia has altered Americans in this election. Essentially what they're trying to do, the radicalized Democrats, they're trying to slap Americans in the face saying you're so stupid that some guy in another nation who's not even physically here is walking you around like a little sheep. Well, with a lot of people, that pisses you off. It's just like someone on the news, and you can see him using power observation, and he says, well, I'm a black man. Well, it's obvious. I know what your skin tone. You don't have to tell me whether it's a black guy or a white guy or a green guy or whoever. But see, that is used as a method of stoking. I know, I wrote the book of stoking. So, and it's not so much for me to use it. It's more for the fact of being able to identify it. Because when you say, oh, this person is stoking, you say, well, not only can I identify it, but I'm going to tell you how he's doing it. So essentially, that's been a stereotypical characteristic of the radicalized Democrat. And see, you have radicalization in all nations, by the way. It's just not United States. Where extinction comes in and starts changing your concept of what your nation and people think and do. And you feel this, and then you get into the element of entitlement. And then you start thinking everyone's against you, and now you have to do something. And when it comes to entitlement and radicalization, and like we know with ISIS, it's like if you don't want to conform to them, is under the banner of God, they're going to kill you. Well, the only thing about killing people in the name of God is, on the same token, you're also saying God is so incompetent that it cannot do its job, and that you have to come along and show God what it should be doing. Okay, so depending on what you're saying and how you're saying it, you're snitching yourself out. So as women knows that, in terms of men, not to be derogatory, but is size doesn't matter. Okay, what does matter? It's called punctuality. Punctuality is like a tire, it's like a rim. If everything is properly working of your car, then you're getting around to A, B, from A to B. So, punctuality. And I just wanted to point this out, and I don't want to carry any, keep it real short here. But in terms of masses of people, that could be an illusion. How do we not know? See, figure Hillary Clinton, they put out, what, 1.5 or a couple $1 billion? How do we not know that these people been encouraged and say, oh, if you show up to Obama's, we'll pay for your expenses and we'll give you $100 to boot. Well, hell yeah. You give someone that type, I'm not saying that is what happened, but because you can't take the element of human behavior out of that thing. Well, one of the things that why a lot of people show up to Obama is like, there's never been a quote, I know like you like to use, or people like to use the word black, but there's never been a black man in my White House. So that itself is historical. And not to mention, you have a lot of people thinking, oh shoot, this is Armageddon. This is our last days. And it's like, some people say, oh shoot, we got a black man in the White House. Surely the world as we know is going to come to an end. So there's a slew of things that what people think of and why they think of. And it doesn't even have to be logical or reasonable or rational. So I know statistics, I know symbolism. In fact, I know it, I'm overqualified, especially for this evolution. And it's not trying to be derogatory. I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to make that evolutionary bridge between you and me. Because if I can get us in unity, working together, then I can void all this nasty stuff over here. It's like, it's never fun. I mean, I like unity. I've seen the value of unity, coming together, working together, and amongst of diversity. And that's what makes us more superior. If you want to use the word superiority, is it's never been done before. I mean, it would be easy if you have a world full of, Pope Francis. There's a world out there, Pope Francis type individuals, and they're thinking very calm, cool, collective. That would be easy. But when you have a diversity of people, it just brings up the challenge. And the thing is, I know everyone on this planet are up to the challenge. That's why that's on this Noah's Ark. That's why you're here, because God and I were confirmation that you have the skills and ability amongst diversity, working like a functional engine. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here, period. You'd still be on your planet of your own evolution. I mean, it's quite simple. So anyways, this is Everett Pierce on this 23rd day of January 2017. Hopefully this has enlightened you as to, if you're going to, it's like a court system. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Means people, nothing but the people, or the whole people, and nothing but the people. I mean, that's a quote in our justice system. So you have to back out, back away. I was in this inauguration, and I wanted to be there so badly. I mean, I was like, I want to be standing right next to Trump, where his wife was standing. But because of my economics, I couldn't afford to be there. I make roughly $600 a month, and I have to pay for everything. So you have to take in these elements, and that's where a lot of people fail. Of collective information is you got to draw in all the information, even information you think is so minute, but it paints a picture. Just like if we turn this picture into a puzzle, and you say, "What's this? It's green." Well, it's a tree. It's some kind of growth. Okay, well that looks like people. So once in terms of putting a puzzle together, you have to use, since you can't see the whole picture, you have to take what you know and try to identify, just like the head of a quarter. If you know a quarter, you know that what the other side looks like. So generally with green, it has something to do with grass or trees. Something white, especially if it's in DC. Well, that's got to be part of the building. So we have to use problem-solving skill sets to put together this puzzle, and that's what I'm trying to help you do on the 3 factor. I'm trying to build, if nothing else, the bridge factor between you and me. And not to be derogatory, because in many ways I feel like I'm still talking to the caveman in that respect of understanding and using communications and just understanding simple concepts of the foundation of energy. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to the caveman, and it's frustrating to me, but see, we have to work past that. So I'm not saying that you're a caveman, Okay, but what I'm trying for illustration is when you get such of a gap, there's going to be frustration on your part and anger on your part, and you also have to automatically assume there's going to be that on my side until we establish that kind of a bridge, and now we can start understanding each other and not be so critical and not be so angry. So that's what I'm trying to talk about. If I accomplish anything, if I happen to leave tomorrow, I hope I have built at least more along the evolutionary bridge. Even if you don't remember anything that I say, if I can keep that bridge in place, I know the next time I come around, if there's a next time or evolutionary reset, I know that, okay, now the bridge is 3/4 made. Now I got another quarter way. Once I complete that, and for those that can't remember, now we can get up to speed quicker, because you understand me from the very get-go. So, Wendy, right there, this is Everett Pierce on this 23rd day of January 2017 of Einstein 314. So, if there's anything you take from me, if we never shake each other's hand or learn anything else, protect the integrity of the evolutionary bridge. Otherwise, we're starting all over again. I don't know how much more patience I have. I have a lot of patience. And I don't know how much more patience you have. But I'm trying to do it so we don't get burned out. And then both sides just give up. It's like this sense of hopelessness and helplessness. That's kind of how I feel sometimes. And I know if I feel that, I know you do. So, but for the love of God, it's like, if anything, let's complete this evolutionary bridge. And then we can work on rehashing things over again so you can, remember some of the things that is critical to energy. And with that, we'll end it right there. Thank you for your time, and Godspeed.